See what 20 minutes in Windows Movie Maker can do for you? What's up?
Don't interrupt the Empire song.
You cut it off. Don't look at me.
I didn't cut it off. The song never got cut off.
No.
Just your visual.
That's fine. Welcome! Wednesday afternoon in the capital city, and yes, I know there's an election going on. World-shaking consequences, but real things are happening here. I can't believe you completely missed the... I want to see this cave you live in. It's got to be like a Bin Laden-style Tora Bora.
I spent last night working on radio stuff because I go live for my radio show on Saturday. So I have to have all my stuff. So I was doing production all last night.
Check a news feed every now and again.
I don't have time. I'm a producer and a host.
There's always time.
See,
I've always been my own producer.
You luck out because you're able to pay a producer to do all the little crap work so that you can play. I don't have that luxury.
No, I just got home, sit down yesterday, and what do I see? Disney has purchased Lucasfilm and all of their assets.
I just can't believe you think this is a good thing.
I do think this is a good thing.
I mean,
because I lived through all the Marvel fans, right?
John Carter.
Yeah, I put that in there. Aside from John Carter and maybe 2/5 of the Thor movie, all of their like non-children. I'm not talking about Lion King 33 and a third or whatever, but they're non-children's product where they're not just aiming at little kids, and their marketing have been good. The Avengers. Huge project, taking, the Iron Man movies, Thor, Captain America, all of which were good movies.
Have you seen the honest review of Avengers? Have you seen that yet? Or the honest trailer? You gotta go to the YouTube channel, Honest Trailers, and watch Avengers, and you'll never be able to watch that movie and think it's great again. Because you're like, oh, that's totally true.
No, I mean, that reminds me of like the Harry Plinkett reviews. Harry Plinkett is a character, but these guys do an in-depth takedown. And I mean, each piece is like an hour and a half long of each of the prequel movies, pointing out all, the horribleness. I mean, the truth of the matter is, George Lucas is a horrible filmmaker.
Sure.
The only reason Star Wars was good is because his wife got a hold of the jumbled mess that he had originally put together and re-edited and turned it into the timeless classic which we celebrate.
Well, and I think what was good for
day.
George Lucas is he was the first one to do realistic effects. Everything else was shaky.
It built on Spielberg's Jaws.
Sure.
Which was the first of the summer blockbuster movies, which is a relatively new phenomenon.
What was it, 78? They first released 78 or 76, I can't remember now.
You're wrong on both counts. 77
was. Was it 77? I thought it was 78.
Bonus points. Can you name me the number 2 grossing movie of 1977?
No.
Smokey and the Bandit. Just throwing that out there. What a great year for film. But Star Wars was a jumbled mess.
And for Trans Ams. Let's just be honest. That's the last year they were cool.
When his wife, who he later divorced, he got a hold of it, turned it into the classic. Then he hands over the reins for Empire, which everyone agrees is the best of the Star Wars movies.
See, and because I associate it with the nostalgia of my childhood, I like The Return of the Jedi the best.
You like Ewoks.
I love Ewoks.
Don't make me get into the Barney Stinson chart.
Wicket is, like, I had a Wicket lunchbox.
Well, they were originally supposed to be Wookiees, but George Lucas found out it was much easier to find short people than 7-foot-tall people to hang out in Chewbacca costumes. So it gets rearranged, and it's not a bad movie, and it was going to be huge because it was part of the saga, but
it's my favorite.
Don't kid yourself. The marketing played a big role.
Sure.
One of the sage things that George Lucas did was keep the merchandise rights to himself, which is why you see Star Wars plastered on everything. So this is why I'm not seeing a downside. George Lucas is a horrible filmmaker. He built a great sandbox. And people of various talents and abilities have taken this sandbox and
is this the he didn't build it argument? Is this really what you're going to take?
No. He's a great sandbox builder. He built it. The themes and the like.
So you would say he built it.
But the actual execution,
I just want to make sure,
is lacking when it comes to Lucas. And Disney has the Pixar people in there.
I will give you that episode 1 was one of the worst days of my life for 2 reasons. One, some girl that I was dating that I was thinking about breaking up looks at me during the movie that I've waited for years and says, I love you. and be.
What did you say to that, by the way?
I said I'm watching the movie.
No, wrong answer as a Star Wars fan. There's only one response that is acceptable for I love you.
What's that?
I know.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that. I just.
Then no wonder you're not together. That explains it all.
It's okay. She was worth cutting off. And then of course Jar Jar Binks ruined things for me.
Yeah, that.
I couldn't decide which was worse.
There's the argument that inherently these are children's movies, and that's true. I mean, Star Wars, Empire to a lesser degree, but certainly Return of the Jedi, were movies aimed at kids. But there's the two paths you can take when making kids entertainment, and that is you just make it mind-numbing for anyone over the age of 13, or you go the route that adults can appreciate this. There are plenty of even like SpongeBob SquarePants throws in enough things that only the parents will get, so that you don't want to just take an ice pick in each hand and go and scramble things around when the kid play it again, play it again, play it again, play it again. So I trust the folks at Disney, and I bring up the Joss Whedon example because, Serenity was an
I'm horribly worried
of cinema. What is that
about Disney?
No, what are they going to do? Over merchandise it? Lucas has been doing that for decades. But they're willing to take risks.
Though, I will give you that almost everything George Lucas doesn't have the creative control in is good.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I think his oversight's, though, valid. Like what he's allowed happen with the book series, he has to preview and know the premise and the authors.
Bug orgies. The Killicks.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
I mean, again, there's the Thrawn trilogy, which make a great episode 7, 8, and 9.
Thrawn trilogy is fantastic.
Even the Han Solo trilogy.
I thought the Han Solo was okay.
Is good. It's not up to that level.
The Millennium Falcon one. Have you read that one yet?
Oh yeah.
That one actually
had a real cheesy payoff.
I haven't finished it, so I don't know. I don't know the
spoiler.
Payoff. Yeah,
Rosebud's a sled. Sorry.
Thanks, but no, they. I thought those were pretty good because it's interesting. The Bounty Hunter trilogy, awesome.
No, I mean they have good stuff, and then they have some Kevin Anderson.
Yeah, anything Kevin Anderson writes, I just kind of try to ignore.
So again, people of varying qualities, but Disney again has the resources to pretty much do whatever they want.
Well, they just spent $4 billion. They may not anymore.
The thing of it is, I'm actually surprised it's so cheap. Matt Glacius is an economy nerd and points out, the $200 million right now that Star Wars brings in every year is worth the purchase price of $4 billion as it is. They paid $11 billion for Pixar. I mean, forget the, $750 million and a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but
we'll bring in they've
ruined Pixar, though. I mean, Pixar was putting out some of the best. Toy Story was done. The first one was done without Disney, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, that was amazing. Everyone after that, I mean, Cars was done with Disney. That one was good. I liked Cars.
My only real concern is, are we still going to get the Star Wars movie marathons on Spike every holiday?
Ooh, yeah, because you don't see a whole lot of Disney movie marathons, do you?
No, I'm scared because Disney is it's almost the anti-Lucas when it comes to letting people use their IP. Like
sure.
Anything, Mickey, Donald, Muppet Babies. Disney wants an iron handover. They have copyright bills that are named after them.
Yeah. Well, I bet, though, the remastering that Disney's going to do will make this recent remastering of Star Wars look silly.
I don't know if they're going to touch, and we don't know any of the caveats and disclaimers in the deal yet, but we do know a new movie is coming in 2015, Episode 7, and then they plan to pump one of these puppies out every 2 or 3 years. I assume some of them will be.
I wish they just pick the books up and go from the books.
Some of the books are really bad.
Yeah, but
some of the books are god awful.
But the next 10 books from A New Hope on. Well,
you run into the slight problem of, do you want to recast Han Solo Princess Leia.
You're going to have to do it anyway.
Well, I don't know.
James Bond does it every couple years and still gets away with people excited about it.
Yeah, but there's something iconic about.
I agree.
The princess with the buns on her head, Luke Skywalker.
But then Episode 7's got to be like something with the solo kids, because.
Well, that's the talk, is that they will. You can. Well, now that Disney's in charge, you can buy a dump truck full of money, like Die Hard 2 style, and park it on Harrison Ford's yard. Carrie Fisher, you probably just need like a bottle of 3 Olives or something. And, Mark Hamill has always shown kind of a reverence for the material
that
you're never going to see, from like a Ewan McGregor or anything like that. So I don't think it would be hard to put the band back together. In fact, I think they keep Anthony Daniels like in a guest house on the Skywalker.
I think Ewan McGregor would have been down had they not been so bad the first.
Well, I think Ewan McGregor is just it's an acting job,
because he did a really good. I liked his character.
He did a very good job. He was one of the highlights. He and Ian McDiarmid, I think, were the highlights.
Sure.
Of course, Samuel L. Jackson, because he's great.
Yeah, we'll have
in
to
everything
disagree on that.
But when you see like some of the
Snakes on a Plane,
the appearances that he's done, and I think part of the reason that the prequel actors don't have the same kind of reverence for the franchise and the material is they did very little interacting with it. When you see like the filming of The Phantom Menace, which is something no one should watch ever because it only reminds you of bad things. It would be like, hey, let's remember Dresden or something like that. It's Ewan McGregor, and it's literally just, well, you can't see but it's just green screen everywhere. What he's sitting on is green screen. What he gets off on it's just literally a green room. And you go into this green room and you roll through your lines, and that's it. So he really never had a connection the way that we're going to fly you to Tunisia, and you're going to hang out in the desert. Then we're going to fly you, to hell. To film these Hoth scenes, where literally we can't even get to the set. So they filmed parts of Empire out of the back door of the hotel. It was so snowed in. But they've kind of taken it all out of the physical world, and a lot of the work that what became Industrial Light and Magic started was completely thrown out for just overwhelming CGI everywhere.
Yeah, which I think does damage.
Yeah, I mean, the prequels are nowhere near the same.
I mean, I definitely think the space scene with them, like, where you can see the string holding up some of the original ships.
Yeah, I don't mind the little yellow box of the TIE fighter flying through the second Death Star. Or the blur under Luke's, land speeder, because, it's just... The story is so good and the movie's so good, you really don't notice it unless you're looking for it. But I think
what I do notice every time, though? Every time. When they're in Jabba's palace, right? And Lando is in the armor. Yeah. He hits his head on one of the doorways every time. I watch one of those stupid The Making of thing.
Oh, yeah. You see him bonk the head.
And every time I see it now. Or I notice the gauge or the lights are flipped on Darth Vader during the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader just fight at the end of episode
But we're willing
4.
to overlook, for example, on Jabba's barge when they're about to execute Skywalker and Solo, and R2-D2 shoots the lightsaber over, and we get the big reveal of the new green lightsaber. But then he's like, it's using it like a stick or something and knocking people. Like a lightsaber cuts people in half. But he's knocking people into the Sarlacc pit with it. But we were willing to overlook this because they were such good movies. By the time, the mid-90s had come around, it was time to start, planning and putting together the prequels. There was no George Lucas's ex-wife. There was no Rube Marquardt. All the people who contributed together to make these Star Wars films have been replaced with Lucas yes-men. And there was no one to push back against some of the lesser quality ideas, and we'll just leave it at that. Now, that's not a problem. They're keeping George Lucas on as, a consultant, but that means someone you can readily ignore.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Yeah, I do fear for the intellectual property. I enjoyed the movie Fanboys. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Kristen Bell's in it. It's good.
I'll have to look it up.
Anything Kristen Bell's in is good, other than Gossip Girl.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either. But
I don't
I
really
know
like
she's
Kristen Bell as an actress, though.
All right, get out your foot.
I'm sorry.
I don't need you anymore.
You know,
You're dead to me.
She's the gal that was in the first Spider-Mans, right?
That's Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, well, okay.
No,
good.
I'm talking about Veronica Mars here.
Oh, see, I didn't know you.
The Citizen Kane of high school
Now I got to look her
female
up because maybe I was thinking
detectives.
Kirsten
No,
Dunst.
Fanboys is the story of some Ohio kids in 1998 decide to break into the Skywalker Ranch to see the Phantom Menace before everyone else and the hijinks that occur. So,
You like this girl?
Kristen Bell?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. She plays a good, like, evil witchy woman. Like, because she does all the.
What evil witchy woman?
Oh, she's always like the high-powered business snotty brat kind.
Oh, in House of Lies?
And a couple different movies. I just watched one with her the other day.
The
Hey, I gotta answer
Cinemax
the phone.
series, which I highly recommend. But yeah, I worry that Disney's going to clamp down on that. There's groups like the 501st Legion. It's a group of fans who dress as stormtroopers and Darth Vader and stuff, and they do charity events. They appear at hospitals. They march in parades, and Lucas has always been very good with take our material, and as long as you're not selling it or trying to make money off it, go nuts with it. They've always kind of encouraged that community, and I think it's paid off in spades. Disney, not so much. They keep that kind of iron-fisted control. But new Star Wars movie scheduled for 2015, Episode 7. Lucas said he was never going to do it, which is technically true.
Yeah, but
Now, he said other people wouldn't do it either, and we kind of knew that was false. But the deal makes sense just from the merchandising alone, just from selling.
he's had the story written since the beginning.
No, that's always been kind of the urban legend. And I know when he met with Mark Hamill in 1976, he plotted out this 12-movie epic. And, hey, you want to do this till 2011 was the year that he thought they would finally get
I think he
episode.
used the ending from that, but I think he still had the story. So it
Well, I
probably
think
needs
he
some
has
reworking.
a 7, 8, 9 that require a 60-year-old Mark Hamill. And I believe is it next year? It's either next year or 2015 that Mark Hamill will be the same age that Alec Guinness was when they filmed the original Star Wars, to give you some idea. But that's where he says he wants to take it. Now we'll see
and
if
he's
they actually.
twice as fat.
He's
going to have to go on a diet.
If you're Mark Hamill, you are hiring a personal trainer yesterday, and you're getting ready to swing the lightsaber again. Because
he just picked up a meth habit. I'm just saying that'd probably be the fastest way.
no, he's had a very successful career, kind of off camera as a voice actor and.
Oh yeah, no, he's done a ton of stuff.
in comics. I mean, he's really.
I'm just saying that he should probably get a meth habit or something.
No, I think you'd see that. I mean, Harrison Ford's in good shape. Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher probably needs to do the
He's having a
trainer
good
thing.
time, but but
No
it's
bikinis for her.
It's how you bridge. Again, this is what the books should have done, and kept kind of cutting themselves off at the knees. Was you use, Luke, Leia, Han, to bridge the gap for these upcoming movies. You introduce the Solo kids, the Jason.
See, how are you going to
Jaina.
build the history of it though? Because you need them. You need them young and in their 30s when these kids are being born. I don't.
No, I think you can have them.
You
Older.
can't
I
have them
think
in
you
their
can-
60s.
I think you can have.
What is she, Sarah from the Bible?
No, I think no. The kids will be, teenagers.
You're just going to introduce Jason and
they'll be Anakin.
Anakin and
age.
And what is her name now? Can't even think.
They
about
won't
it.
do another Anakin. In fact, that's why they killed him off in the books, because they didn't want to make that. That'll confuse people if there's two Anakins running around, which I thought was stupid, but. In a project this
But
size,
it's
makes
Anakin
sense.
It's not Anakin Skywalker.
I
It's
know,
different.
but I think you have your Ben Skywalker, you have Jason and Jaina, and I think that would be a good way to
Ben is
hand,
such a wuss. I don't like that character at
to
all.
hand things over. You can bring in Amara Jade.
I like Mara Jade, but I do not like.
There's plenty of places you can go.
Yeah.
Now, will they, or will they just kind of wipe the slate clean?
They could bring that computer lover that Luke
no.
had for a while. You remember
Some
that one?
Sort of ghost.
Yeah, the Force Ghost.
All right, I think that okay. You're right. Enough Star Wars for the day.
Hey, I'm enjoying this best show
This
you've
is
done.
big news.
It's huge.
This
Geeks
is
like me and you are so excited right now.
This is culture shattering here. So okay, we'll get on to the politics because there is a lot going on today.
I'm turning my mic off.
New Iowa poll, some blowback in Ohio. What's a lie too far? And, well, there's a conspiracy about voter ID in the UN, so of course our own Secretary of State is getting in on the action. We'll talk about that and more when we return, and may the force be with you. Here on The Bradshaw Show at thebradshawshow.com. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. Just go to the website. The live stream is down. Apparently, as a effect of Sandy.
that was the after effect of your video.
Oh, but the Ustream is working and the Mixler is working, so we can take care of that. In the meantime, go to the website. You can just go to webcastonelive.com. It's got all the info there as we're making the switch over to a secondary provider to keep ourselves on the air. So go to thebradshawshow.com. It'll take you to where you want to go. Yesterday's show is on there, all the archives, Mondays. What I think was an exquisite takedown of the Register's horrible endorsement. Again, not because they endorsed Mitt Romney, but because of how they explained it later. Pretty much go line by line. That's on Monday's show. You can go back and watch that and more, all at the website. I got to remember to do this backwards. TheBradshawShow.com. Back right after this on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
To start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
Have I been frozen in carbonite? Oh, my screen's not showing. I'm just like stuck.
It does seem fitting, doesn't it?
You should at least warn me so I could get like the right Han Solo pose. At least the audio's still working.
Yeah,
we
you're
think.
good. Yeah, keep going.
All right. Brad Show with you here. Frozen in time at 1:57 on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for coming along. It's disturbing seeing yourself in Frozen because I have the monitor right here in front of the camera, and it's freaking me out, man.
I'm sorry, I'm trying.
All right. While Dan fiddles with that, let's burn Rome, shall we? New Iowa poll numbers. This over the 29th and the 30th. These are maybe the last ones, at least from a national pollster, we're going to see before the election day. And it's not like it's a big shock. It's a 50-45 Obama lead. And certainly makes sense. There's only 4% undecided. President at 50% approval. Or favorable, I'm sorry. 49% job approval. Romney still in negative territory when it comes to, pretty much everything at this point. Cares about the middle class, protect Medicare. You kind of run down the list. And we get Obama with a lead. They did both. This is public policy polling, doing both Wisconsin and Ohio, where he has a 5-point lead in both states. Which I'm sure, if you give that to the unskewed poll guys, they would say is like a 90-point Romney victory. It kind of ties in with what we talked about yesterday and the kind of fight on facts. The right wing wants to play, they expand the map. They want to give the illusion of this momentum because, that will cause undecideds to break your way. Consciously or not, we all like to be on the winning team. Now, some of us are Cub fans and don't know what this is like, but again, if you study psychology, a lot of money gets put into stuff like this when lots of money is at stake in the politics game. And yeah, this was Karl Rove's favorite tactic was, let's send George Bush to California because that will show, momentum, and we're widening the gap and put, doubt in the hearts and minds. So, point being, that this is the story that the media really wants to write. It's a toss-up. You must tune in to Morning Joe. You must watch every second of cable news you can get your hands on. Or else you won't know because this situation is changing by the second. And it's simply not true. I have no doubt that it was a rather coordinated effort, yesterday and the day before, to go after Nate Silver, who's just one of the, methodologists. And again, I don't know exactly what you would call his job description, but he takes all this, state by state, national poll, along with economic info, and created this model that was very effective in 2008. It was very effective in 2010, and as of right now, shows a 77% chance of an Obama victory, which I think off the record, most pundits would agree with. Certainly not saying the race is over by any means. But it's not a toss-up. It's not tied. It's not even going into the last week. And that view doesn't sell newspapers, doesn't cause you to click web links, and that doesn't cause you to buy a newspaper. He's getting in the way of the narrative. And the narrative is the most important thing, because, of course, it's always going to be, neck and neck and tight. I can't remember who did it, but there was a great little mini documentary at the McCain headquarters party on election night. on how after the early states, McCain, once those were done, and Ohio, Pennsylvania, the rout started. Very quickly, all the TVs in there were turned off of the news. And they show, I think it was Dana Bash from CNN, talking about it's kind of otherworldly in there, because there are people checking their Blackberries for the latest news. But as far as the party as a whole, they were kind of keep people in the bubble as long as possible, because again, many of these people had gone into the night convincing themselves, if you unskew the polls, and who can really trust, it's the liberal media at work, and we're going to pull this thing out. And when reality came crashing down, they didn't handle it well. And I did, again, feel a little sorry for them, because I've been there. I lived through the 2004 election. That was when I was still getting up at 4 in the morning, and I remember being up till probably 2 or 3. At the time, listening to Air America radio. And boy, howdy, that was a fun bunch. They were having a good time that night. But it's like, how did this happen? Now, maybe some of the wingers will have that kind of, I'm going to unskew these polls, and I don't have to believe what the media is telling me, have it burned out of them the way it was for me. But I don't know. I doubt it. But, in fact, there's a screenshot. Here's 538 for, it's just JPEG, if you can bring that up. Dan, this is what they've got as of today. It's capital of is it not formatting right? Today have technical difficulties. But that's what they've got for an electoral vote and chance of winning as of now. And again, this will change tonight, but at least for the last few days, it's been trending Obama, and that really gets in the way, again, of the narrative we want to push. Also seeing Ohio solidify, and I know Romney held his don't call it a campaign event there yesterday. And again, to be clear, before someone starts whining, I have no problem with campaigning. The day after Sandy. Just do it. Just be open about it. The reports, they actually held people in line with their canned goods for like an hour waiting for Romney to show up. And then when he showed up, now we'll take your donations. Again, it's just transparent. Easy to see through. And I don't know why you do it. It's not a big deal, but it's just another kind of data point in this. Romney will just do whatever, say whatever. Here's an interesting piece, and I know the right wing hates Media Matters, but it's an angle I hadn't thought of. By now we've all read, I hope, Romney's Let Detroit Go Bankrupt op-ed. The fine folks over at Media Matters bring up a good point. That op-ed and that, at the time, disagreement over the auto bailout could end up being the ultimate, pendulum that swung this election. And how, an event from a couple years ago still resonates to this day. And did Romney, again, lose the 2012 election before it even started? I said the question remains, why did Romney harden his stance against the bailout over time? It started with, let Detroit go bankrupt, and criticized it as a sweetheart deal disguised as a rescue plan. Why would he do this? So one likely explanation is the right-wing media, dominant force in the Republican primary campaign, railed against the bailout with extraordinary force. For conservative players like Rush Limbaugh and the team at Fox, the government's helping hand in Detroit symbolized the zenith of Obama's alleged socialist leanings, and it signaled the demise of both democracy and capitalism in America. Glenn Beck said the bailout reminded him of the actions of German companies in the early days of Adolf Hitler. Hannity called it a mission to hijack capitalism. Rush said it was like GM and Chrysler bent down and grabbed ankles. This goes back, to the early days of the Tea Party, when groups like Freedom Works were propping up, these groups to keep the base, energized. You don't want them being completely demoralized, considering you've lost the House, the Senate, the White House. You really got nothing going for you. And the bailout, of GM turned into, the mother of all evils. So Romney, during his, severely conservative phase, fell in line with that. Again, you got to win the nomination before you win the White House, right? But it's funny, the pandering then is costing him now. But at least he's not going down without a fight. What's in that fight is somewhat interesting, and what we're seeing in Ohio, even as Romney, runs through Florida to try to shore up that state. Seriously, he's spending all day doing like 3 stops in Florida today. For a swing state everyone thought he had wrapped up. But he's decided to start running ads in Ohio, claiming that, in particular, Jeep is moving jobs to China. And this may be finally a bridge too far. He's generally gotten away with it. For example, etch-a-sketching the previous 3 months of his campaign at the first debate away, and becoming, severely moderate mitt. And again, he got away with it. Hell, the Register endorsed him. Sure, he recalibrated his campaign, but we can trust him now. He's being honest. Yeah. Again, go rewatch the last half of Monday's show, where we do a detailed point-by-point breakdown of exactly how wrong the Register was in their explanation of the Romney endorsement. Again, the endorsement itself, not a big deal, but certainly how they framed it was like, again, I wasn't upset for Obama, I was upset for the Register. And is this what we're going to? But then again, they endorsed Mondale, so who knows? But the ads that Romney's running have gotten to the point where it's not just the national press. The National Journal. Romney ad wrongly implies Chrysler is sending U.S. jobs to China. Politico. Not only did Romney camp not back off erroneous Jeep to China canard, they made an ad out of it. My God. It's gotten to the point where even the CEO of Chrysler is saying, this is wrong. You are lying. But I think this goes back to, what I've been saying for months. Romney is, at his heart, a sales guy. Not someone who works in sales, but every sales department has that guy. What do I need to say? What do I need to do? We'll let someone else worry about the details. I have to make the sale. I have to close the deal. I will tell you what you want to hear until I get the name on the dotted line. So what do I have to say to get the job done? And in this case, I think it's showing that Romney's losing, and he knows he's losing. And he's, I guess, calculated that it's worth the risk. Obama campaign accuses Romney of dishonesty in Jeep issue. That's the headline of the Toledo Blade. Cleveland Plain Dealer. Flailing in Ohio, Romney rolls out Jeep ploy. It's gotten to the point, these ads are out there. You have Jeep workers getting, scared for their jobs. They're calling the UAW. They're trying, they're calling corporate headquarters asking, is this true? Is this right? Am I, losing my job? Now, when he informed them, Chrysler was in fact expanding its Jeep operation there. He said in an interview, the response has been, that's pretty pitiful. I think it was Dana Milbank today showed that, when the chips are down and the fight gets tough, the truth is the first thing that gets thrown overboard. They've even gone back to the, and I thought this was discredited. Well, it was discredited months ago, but I thought it was a dead issue that President Obama is trying to gut, the work requirements in welfare. Now, everyone and their mother called that one a lie at the time. In fact, I sent out a copy to a few people. I showed it to you on the air at the time. A letter from 2005 where Governor Mitt Romney is asking for waiver abilities, along with Governor Perry, Governor Mike Huckabee. Branstad would have been on that list, I'm sure, if he had been in office at the time. It was signed by the Republican Governors Association. Led to the very hilarious clip of Chuck Todd, who's not exactly the strongest interviewer on God's green earth, laughing and rolling his eyes at Governor Branstad. Because Branstad was sent out to push that exact same lie, gets called on it, and has no backup. And Governor Branstad's probably not the quickest guy on his feet out there. So he just keeps, stumbling and bumbling along until finally Chuck Todd's like, okay, Governor, thanks for coming on. That's nice. And I said at the time, I doubt we would see Branstad again as a national level Romney surrogate, and we haven't. Even with Iowa supposedly in swing state status, we haven't seen a lot of Branstad. He'll attend a Romney rally, but he's not doing anything on his own. They're certainly not sending him to the cable news shows to be a talking head, because they've seen him talk, and they don't really want that representing them on the nightly news. But with Obama having, 2, 3, 5-point lead in Ohio, what does Romney have to lose at this point? Again, tying himself to the right-wing mast when the Tea Party was blowing over the GOP. And how do you etch-a-sketch that away? It's there in black and white. And I've had people try to argue with me, but Romney said government support. Yes, for car financing and warranties. Literally, they're in the same sentence in his op-ed piece. I mean, there's spin, and then there's, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I heard it on Hannity, and I'm going to regurgitate it. Which is what we're seeing now. And again, it's not just the 538 model. It's the guys over at Princeton. It's almost universal that this election, for the most part, is a done deal. Which is only going to make this last week more head-scratching. All right, 244-0077 as the phone number. All are welcome. Some are capable. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Follow me there for fun and frivolity and what is sure to be an interesting election night. And again, I'm not saying that this is high-minded in any way. I am looking forward to the pure schadenfreude of this kind of right-wing noise machine who has convinced themselves that we surround them, right? that if we just speak up, the silent majority will rise to follow us. We are great Americans. We are idiots. We have a fully stocked doom room with survival seed banks. We're ready to go. It's only a matter of time till we throw out that, socialist, communist, anti-colonialist, fascist, Nazi, black person out of the white and delightsome house. And when that comes crashing down on the election night, the results will be glorious, I gotta admit. I was talking with a friend about this yesterday. Now that the election is pretty much a known quantity at this point, again, why do you think Chris Christie is walking around Atlantic City with President Obama as we speak? When he has an opportunity to bash the president on Fox and Friends, demurs and calls them out. He knows during a very long and very expensive cleanup and rebuilding project where his bread is going to be buttered. Again, follow the money. What comes next, I think, is going to be the really fun part, and you're going to see a night of the long knives. Not only is the current right wing incapable of winning the White House without some serious fundamental changes, this kind of Tea Party extreme right, Steve King seems like a moderate, the Richard Murdochs, the Todd Akins, these guys are going to cost them a chance to retake the Senate too. I mean, they never were going to get to 60 seats or anything like that. But they're not even going to have a majority by the looks of it. But you lose some House seats. You don't retake the Senate. B-Rock, the Islamic shock, Super Allah, Obama, peace be upon him, still in the White House. What do they do with themselves the day after? Well, if history is any guide, remember, conservatism never fails. People only fail conservatism. You're going to see the long knives come out, and at some point, they have to figure out a way to win without the crazies, without the birthers, without the UN conspiracy theorists, without the gold bugs. And I don't think they have it. And that we're not even talking about the states like Texas, which is probably 8 to 10 years away from being, a legitimate swing state. They bought themselves probably a decade through redistricting. They did some heck of a job gerrymandering areas. So why the Justice Department looked at their electoral map and said, no. They bought themselves some time with redistricting. But the state's going browner, and if you're going to continue to lose the Latino vote by 40, 50%, how do you expect to win long term? They're going to make a push, I'm sure, to get rid of the Electoral College. Because again, show me a map where it's even possible for a Republican to win the White House without Texas. I'd love to see your calculations there. They have to find some way to expunge, again, this group of angry white men who can't stop talking about rape, can't stop pandering to the xenophobes. Unless you're content with losing Hispanics, losing minorities, losing women in perpetuity, and literally becoming a rump, a regional party down in the South. That's where they're headed. And unfortunately, it's not just on the national level. I saw this yesterday, and requires a little bit of backstory. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. This is a group chartered by the UN that does any number of things, but one of their activities is observing elections. Well, the Attorney General in Texas heard about this. And even though they've been coming to the United States to observe since 2002, the Attorney General of Texas threatened the State Department with arresting them if they step within 100 feet of a Texas polling place. Again, they're invited by the State Department to come and observe our elections in the hopes that A, maybe the folks in Kazakhstan could learn something from how we do things, and two, it's precedent setting. It's, yes, Mr., third world despot, you need to open your elections to observation. Even the United States does it. And there are other groups, but when it comes to the UN, the right has kind of lost their minds. And don't take my word for it. Go look at the Iowa GOP party platform and how this, and I'm not going to get all the conspiracy theories right because I'm not a nutso, but the gist of it, this Agenda 21 is apparently supposed to allow for UN control of the nation and get rid of golf courses. I'm not up to speed on conspiracy theory rock here, but that's the gist of it. So, the Attorney General in Texas heard some talk that perhaps this is a group that's against voter ID and is, UN created. So they're obviously bad, and he was going to make a very public stand with a public letter, and I'm sure plenty of FaceTime on a camera so that his constituents in Texas know how hard he's fighting for white people or whatever. Connie Mack, not the old Philadelphia A's owner, but the man who's probably going to lose his Senate race down in Florida, attacked this group thusly. The very idea that the United Nations, the world body dedicated to diminishing America's role in the world, would be allowed, if not encouraged, to install foreigners sympathetic to the likes of Castro, Chavez, Ahmadinejad, and Putin to oversee our elections is nothing short of disgusting. So again, to give you some idea, but we've now worked Castro and Ahmadinejad into this overwhelming UN conspiracy. So our own Secretary of State here in Iowa, we call him Skippy, his real name's Matt Schultz. He's a Secretary of State that ran on a tax and jobs platform. Still waiting for any sort of explanation, cogent or otherwise, as to what a Secretary of State has to do with the job situation in the state, but I'm willing to let it lay. I guess someone taught Sparky how to do a Google News alert, because magically yesterday he puts out a statement threatening the arrest if any of these awful observers get too close to an Iowa polling place. Just to give you an idea, Polk County Auditor Jamie Fitzgerald met with them on Monday. Said officials are not obligated to let them watch, but he didn't have a problem with it. Matt Schultz decided to get in on it yesterday and threatened the arrest if any observers come too close or enter one of our polling stations. Now, he referred to Iowa code. The following persons shall be permitted to be present at and in the immediate vicinity of the polling place, provided they do not solicit votes. And it says right here on number 1, any person who is by law authorized to perform or is charged with the performance of official duties at the election. Seems like these observers, invited by the State Department, would qualify under that rule. But again, I'm not a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I don't believe that George Soros is conspiring with the UN to get rid of golf courses. So again, I'm having a hard time putting myself in that place. And I've had a few right-wingers try to defend themselves. Shane Vanderhart is a right-wing blogger. I had posted that our own Secretary of State is kowtowing to conspiracy theorists. He's kowtowing by stating what the Iowa Code says. Fascinating. I quoted it. It's pretty clear. These pesky laws. So I quoted the section back to him, which he ignored. He said, this is his first election as Secretary of State, and that's true. But when he ran in 2010, displacing Mike Morrow, who was, I think by all accounts, an extraordinary Secretary of State, and had the unique distinction, I think, in this country of holding that job without aspirations for higher office. It's funny, Schultz never brought this up. No, he was talking about tax code and job creating. Once again, I'm still waiting for any explanation as to what that has to do with the Secretary of State's gig. But now, voter ID's involved? Well, I'd better jump in on this. Even better, it's the UN, and Ahmadinejad, and Putin. I mean, I honestly am asking you, is there any cause celeb on the right these days that isn't a conspiracy theory? That isn't some sort of evil cabal coming after you, you know, Acorn's going to steal the election, and, you know, the president is personally responsible for the deaths in Benghazi. As that story evolves almost, you know, by the day. It started with the president sympathizes, and then it was botched intelligence. And as each one of these is kind of proven false and dismissed, the story evolves a little further. You know, we have Chuck Grassley believing that, this hurricane that shut down the federal government for a couple of days is less likely the reason for a delayed jobs report than a conspiracy to avoid, producing numbers that will be bad for Obama, which is an update on the previous theory that the Bureau of Labor Statistics was jacking the numbers in favor of Obama. Like, this is what happens when a party just has nothing. If they had any ideas at this point, we would have seen them. Yeah. How do I know the race for Ohio's over? Because if Romney had anything new, he wouldn't be going back to gutting welfare requirements and trying to claim that Jeep is moving jobs to China. And it's one thing to have your campaign fact-checked by the Des Moines Register. It's another when the CEO of GM says, what is this guy smoking? But again, when you run out of bullets, throw your gun. Throw some rocks. And that's what we're seeing now is this intellectually bankrupt party is on display. But Republicans don't give up hope. I got one more thing before I go. I know, Dan, bring up the Romney Mega Prayer. In fact, I believe the website is romneymegaprayer.com. And this is a group soliciting people to do a group prayer the night before the election. I think Christians overwhelmingly support Mitt Romney, good people and the misguided. Apparently good people look like Pac-Man. And I look at this, and Dan, maybe you can help with this. This, to me, reminds me of
Do
Poe's...
I want to?
No, but it reminds me of Poe's Law. Are you familiar with it?
Go ahead and restate it for me.
At some point, it is impossible to determine a difference between parody and true fundamentalist belief.
Okay, sure.
I look at this RomneyMegaPrayer.com, and I don't know. It seems serious, but I could certainly see where this would be someone mocking these types of endeavors. We had people.
The name itself kind of seems like a parody to me.
I mean, it's no Christian side hug, but
I think it's serious.
if so, that's even sadder.
Well, I don't know that it's a sad concept. I mean, I think your premise is a little off. I mean, Christians believe there's power in prayer, so that would seem natural for them to want to.
My question was, if this doesn't work, if in fact, let's say, Barack Obama outperforms the polling as they show it
Sure.
on the ROM, do you think this would lead anyone to question their beliefs?
No.
That was kind of my...
But
too.
to see, I mean, here's the thing: we pray all the time, right? As Christians, you don't, because you're a godless atheist. But
Thank you.
I pray for you all the time, and yet God hasn't answered my prayer that you come to see the light.
See?
So that means that it's outside of God's will. I don't have influence over God's decree. I can pray, and if God so desires to do it, He can. He's not bound to prayer. It's our way of conversing with God. So I think it makes a lot of sense that people that would wish to see Mitt Romney elected president would pray for him. I, in fact, am praying for the presidential election, but I'm just praying that both of these men would have legitimate and true conversions to Christianity, regardless of who gets elected.
You think Mitt's going to leave Mormonism?
You know what? I think, and see, here's the deal. I think with God, anything's possible. So, yeah, I think he could. I think if God got into his heart, I don't think he'd have any choice.
But then Mormon Jesus would come back, and Elohim.
Except Mormon Jesus is pretend, and the real Jesus is
so close, Dan.
It's
so close.
It's really not. One's born of a virgin and is in fact God himself, and the other one is the spirit child of God, brother of Satan. They're not really all that close.
Which one's which?
The Mormons is the spirit god, brother of Satan.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I just got a kick out of that. Cause
I know.
It's the desperation time. But good. Every dollar, again,
I agree you are desperate.
Every dollar they spend on projects like this is one that's not going to Bob Vander Plant. So I'm cool with that. Feel free to go sign up. Anyway, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. It's got a link to the mega prayer, and you can judge for yourself whether it's parody or real. I'll be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity, and hopefully, to the best of my knowledge, no one has sold the rights to He-Man or the Transformers, so I don't think there'll be any other life-changing events like the Lucasfilm sale yesterday.
You know, though, they're revamping Thundercats.
I've seen the revamp of Thundercats. It was underwhelming.
It is.
I was never a big Thundercats guy anyway.
I just like the logos. To be honest, I mean, they were okay. I mean, I definitely watched them, but there wasn't much to watch. As long as they leave their hands off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles...
you should see the original. Someone did a great the original like underground comic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus the 80s wacky pizza-eating guys
I loved the 80s ones. And now they've gotten into these kind of weird Japanese animation.
Yeah, but they did like a half hour with the new Ninja Turtles, the old Ninja Turtles, all meeting in some, alternate universe and be like, who are these guys? It's really good. I can't remember the name of it, but
that'd be funny.
Really good. I highly recommend.
All right, enough nerddom for a day.
I'm just saying. Disney, you mess with Optimus Prime, and I will burn the Magic Kingdom down.
I'm going to sound clip that.
All right. If they do it, I'm coming for you. I've got hot tar. I've got pitchforks.
We'll be editing out the if.
No. Just there are some things that are sacred. Be back tomorrow at 1:30 here on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.